Welcome to Managing Asia's Sustainable Future series. I'm Christine Tan. This week we talked to Roger Lee, CEO of TAL Apparel, about how he drives sustainability in his garment manufacturing business and what it takes to cut down wastage in the fast fashion industry. According to the World Bank, the fashion industry accounts for 10% of the world's carbon emissions each year. That's more than all flights and shipping combined. But one garment maker taking an active role in trying to reduce its emissions is Hong Kong-based TAL Apparel. It produces about 50 million pieces of clothing annually, and its green journey began 2 decades ago when it introduced sustainable practices in its factories in the region. Roger, good to see you. We're here at Singapore's main shopping belt where life is slowly returning to normal. Last year, your garment manufacturing business took a hit. How are your orders looking this year? Are you seeing a recovery in retail spend?
Yes, last year in 2020, our orders took a big hit. Our main export markets are US and Europe. This year, we're now in the middle of the vaccination program that's happening across the world. And we're slowly seeing people going back to work, wanting to buy a new wardrobe. Actually, COVID has driven more people to do more exercise, to go out more, to actually get healthier. So on the casual side of our business, which isn't as big as our formal side, it's actually been doing quite well.
Do you hope to be profitable this year?
To be honest, I think we'll be lucky to be break even this year. Our volume dropped 50% last year from April to December. Such a big hit overnight takes a while to recover. We did what we needed to do to reduce our cost structure. This year, we have a chance. It really depends on the second half of the year. If consumer really comes back, what we call revenge buying, then we have a good chance of breaking even or maybe making a little bit of money.
Let's talk about a topic close to your heart. As CEO of TAL Apparel, you say sustainability is a matter of ownership. How do you drive sustainability as a key part of your production strategy? Where do you start?
I think it has to be, number one, on the top of mind of the organization. And it starts with the CEO or the board saying that we must be focused on sustainability. 10 years ago, we already were talking about sustainability. 20 years ago, we were doing that. We had our first wastewater treatment plant over 20 years ago in China. At that time, people were just dumping raw, untreated water into the rivers, and we didn't. We had our first wastewater treatment plant over 20 years ago.
Talk to me about the processes you go through behind the scenes to make yourself more sustainable. What is the production process like?
Where inside the 3,000 person factory is electricity being used the most? No one was measuring that. So first thing you do is start breaking down the problem into smaller chunks and measure every part of the factory. And the first thing we realized is actually lunchtime, we waste a lot of energy when nothing's being produced. So turning off lights at lunchtime seems very simple. I would say we've reduced about 30 to 40% the amount of electricity we've used over the years to produce one piece of garment.
So welcome to our showroom.
And because sustainability is in its corporate DNA, the company pivoted to manufacturing reusable masks during the pandemic.
Now, the problem about reusable masks is you need to have a proper filter. A lot of the reusable masks today have no filter, even up to today. And so if you put it on, the virus can still come through the mask. What's the point of doing that? So we start looking at filters, and it was really hard to find a filter that you could wash and not break down.
You tested it?
We tested it. Now, what was difficult actually from day one was being able to test it. Not many labs around the world have proper machines to test 2 things. One is how protective it is against viruses. So you need to look at particle matter 0.1 micron and how breathable it was. Those are the 2 factors.
To what extent does this make up for your loss in your other garment manufacturing business?
So while it doesn't compensate fully for the losses, to us, it's not about really the money. It's more that we produce a product that people can use, especially during important times like these.
A recent UN report said the fashion industry is widely believed to be the second most polluting industry in the world, with a lot of that coming from wastage.
Waste actually is a big part of our industry. So what happens in our industry is that brands make calculated guesses how many garments of each style do you think they're going to sell?
So there's a lot of wastage.
A lot of wastage. So our thinking now is made to measure. We've been doing this actually 15 years, but in the last few years it's really taken off. What is made to measure? You walk into the store, the garment is not there ready for you, but you say, you know what, I like this fabric, I like it in this style. You place the order, and if it's a shirt, for example, in 7 days, you will get it at your doorstep.
So think about what you want to wear and order it, and don't just buy.
Correct.
Just for the sake of buying.
But brands have to think that way. Brands have to think made to measure is a better way, less waste than buying things up front. Now, why don't people do it today? It's cost. Made to measure is more expensive. Making it in bulk is cheaper, but the economics are quite different if you think of it differently. Eliminate warehouse. You don't need warehouse to store. Eliminate big stores. You don't need big stores to sell, put a lot of inventory there.
That basically, if you want a clothing to be sustainable, you have to be prepared to pay more.
I think actually the brands have to start it, not consumers so much. Consumers ask the question, but brands have to commit and say, I'm going to eliminate this raw material, polyester, for example, from my supply chain in 5 to 10 years' time, forcing people to find alternative ways which are more sustainable. It's the brand's CEO responsibility to do that.
It's a journey. Roger, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you, Christine.
And that was Roger Lee, CEO of TAL Apparel. Do join me again on the next Managing Asia as we continue to put the focus on companies who do business in a sustainable way. I'm Christine Tan. Thanks for watching.
Managing Asia, Sustainable Future, brought to you by UOB.